I think the best way to write a character's flaw is to have it be their greatest strength. If Ralsei prides himself on anything, it's his kindness, yet his kindness is also his greatest weakness. I don't say this because I think kindness is weakness, but because Ralsei's kindness is a reflection of his crushing insecurity. I'll say that at first, Ralsei didn't stand out to me. He felt like a very safe character, always wholesome and cute and fluffy, but without much depth to him. He's nice and he likes being nice. Of the main trio, Ralsei gets the least focus overall. In Chapter 1, he serves as the tutorial character to introduce the player to the world. In Chapters 2 and 3, he takes a backseat compared to Susie and Chris, and in Chapter 4, his absence is notable in the Light World sections. While Chris and Susie have been shaping up as an iconic duo, Ralsei is an outsider. He's the third member of the trio, the only Darkener in the prophecy, the Lonely Prince. But what more could he ask for? Ralsei knows the fate of his world, and he knows that his role is to be the Lonely Prince. Everything Ralsei does is in fulfillment of his duty. The prophecy has warped the way I see every character in Deltarune. That there is a canonical, unchangeable narrative within the world of Deltarune means that every character canonically is not free. In non-deterministic fictional worlds, we pretend that the characters act of their own free will, that they make their own choices. We pretend that their fate isn't sealed by the author of their world. Deltarune makes no such concession. The fate of the world is not decided by the people within it, but by higher powers, the player and the author, and Ralsei knows this. Chris doesn't know that they're an inversion of the audience surrogate. They think they're a teenager whose autonomy has been stolen from them. Susie doesn't know that she embodies the theme of determination. She thinks she's someone who has to choose determination. Ralsei, on the other hand, is a tutorial character, meant to introduce the world of Deltarune at its most fundamental level, not just to the heroes, but to the player. Ralsei is aware of his own insignificance. He knows he's in a video game. He makes reference to in-game mechanics that make no sense to anyone else. While a few other characters seem to be aware of certain curiosities of their world that only make sense to players, Ralsei is the only one who understands the full implications. He is cursed with the ultimate knowledge of his universe. Lovecraftian horror doesn't come from seeing a big squid that makes your brain go all mushy. Lovecraftian horror is looking at the ultimate truth of the world and understanding how small you are in comparison. It's being horrifically aware of how insane you seem, when, given what you know, everyone else's benchmark of sanity becomes asinine. It's a character who knows that they cease to exist when they stop being thought about because their world is the fiction within the minds of higher beings. It's the character who is torn apart by what they know, and how little everyone else understands. It's the character who looks away from their world, toward a screen that only they know is there, to a player that only they know exists. Ralsei knows that Chris is being controlled by the soul. He knows that we can perceive him and that we can destroy him. Ralsei knows so much, and it crushes him. Ralsei knows that his role is to be the third hero of the prophecy and assist Susie and Chris. He also knows that something terrible is going to happen. What exactly and to whom, we don't know, but that's not important. What's important is that this knowledge leads Ralsei to throw his self-worth away. Ralsei isn't just kind, he's enormously helpful and self-sacrificing. He has no problem being pathetic if it helps someone else. He has zero pride. Look at the way he lets people literally step on him if he thinks it can make him useful. Ralsei will work tirelessly to look after others, baking cakes, looking after the castle town, waiting in the dark for who knows how long. A big part of his lack of self-worth is that Ralsei considers Darkeners to be subservient to Lighteners. Darkeners are what comes about in the darker than dark, when your mind makes monsters of the shapes in the darkness. They are the effect of an overactive imagination brought to life. Darkeners cannot exist without Lighteners, and the Lighteners aren't even aware of this. This isn't just Ralsei's point of view, other Darkeners feel this tension too. Tenna exists as a projection of Chris's family issues, Queen wants to be a mother figure to Noelle, and Gerson is the embodiment of the real Gerson's best qualities. They all dedicate themselves to Lighteners. King is an inversion of this, being the only one to feel abandoned by Lighteners, trying to rally a cause behind him of striking a path of independence. But none more so embody this sense of inferiority than Ralsei. Ralsei believes that Lighteners are the people who are really important in the world. The time spent with Darkeners, the feelings of Darkeners, the plight of the Dark Worlds, none of it really matters compared to the supposed reality of the Light World. Any time he spends on himself is an unnecessary indulgence. He believes that he doesn't deserve comfort or happiness or self-expression. He carries out what he sees as his humble task, not daring to put his own wants before those of the Lighteners. He's kind to everyone as a rule, but above all, without fail, to Chris and Susie. He preaches pacifism and encourages Susie to be less violent, but he doesn't actually believe in this. If the Lighteners use violence, then he will too, and twice in Chapter 4 his only answer is violence. His pacifism is just a part of his wholesome persona, meant to make for a nicer experience for Susie and Chris. Even when the player initiates the Snowgrave route, Ralsei, despite his immense knowledge of the world, does nothing to intervene. My theory is that, unlike Susie, he knows that Chris isn't doing what they want to be doing, but that he sees the will of the Lighteners, and ultimately of the player, to be unstoppable, inevitable, so he just helps it along. These are the two ingredients that, when combined, make Ralsei kind: his knowledge and his lack of self-worth. He believes himself to be fundamentally lower than Chris and Susie, and he knows that a terrible fate awaits them. Therefore, he sees it as his duty to be kind to them, to make them smile no matter what, while there's still time. He wants them to have tea parties and laugh at his goofy behaviour and become friends, because he thinks they deserve happiness before the inevitable comes. Even when he's under stress to prevent Chris and Susie from finding the final prophecy, he plays up his cute and fluffy act. And when he fails, when Susie does see the prophecy, Ralsei has no idea what to do, other than keep smiling. He tries to force his wholesome persona onto every moment, no matter how dark, to protect Chris and Susie from feeling any kind of negative emotion. When faced with the Titan, all of his lessons about kindness and pacifism fail him. The Titan is the embodiment of fear, of all negative thoughts that spring from the darkest recesses of one's mind. And all Ralsei can do in the face of this monstrosity is attack. The Titan is seemingly unbeatable, but Ralsei can't think of anything to do other than try to use brute force. Despite what he knows of the prophecy and the truths of his world, he has no idea how to succeed. Faced with the embodiment of bad thoughts, he doesn't give up, but he just trudges along, accepting the grimness of the situation without trying to change anything. Much like he accepts that the prophecy will result in inevitable harm, and he accepts that he is worthless and made to serve others. And much like he accepts that he has to spend an eternity in the darkness waiting for Chris and Susie, Ralsei accepts that in front of him is the embodiment of depression, and he can do nothing about it. Despite knowing so much and wielding so much power, Ralsei is utterly trapped. He lives in a deterministic world where the future is already decided. He hasn't given up on helping others, but he has given up on himself. Ralsei has given up on being free. It can't be a Deltarune video essay without discussion of freedom. While Chris and the Shadow Crystal bosses are more overtly linked to freedom, Ralsei's story is just as much about it as anyone else's. But while Chris struggles to attain freedom, Ralsei doesn't even believe in it. How can he, after all? The world of Deltarune is someone's fiction. The characters can't have any free will because their world is a narrative written by someone higher. The prophecy dictates everyone's future, yes, but only Ralsei knows the greater extent to which everyone's fate is already bound. Only Ralsei understands the futility of wanting to be free as a video game character who is written by an author and controlled by a player. So, just like he accepts that he is lesser than others, he accepts that his will is not his own, and his fate is not his to decide. It's why he has nothing to say after seeing Spamton's meltdown and how it affected Chris. Susie is the one who pointed out how bizarre it is, but Ralsei just shoots this discussion down. A Darknet driven mad by their lack of freedom is only natural, not worth questioning, when the answer can only make you miserable. So how lucky it is that the one monster who Ralsei happened to be paired with is Susie. Susie, the true hero of Deltarune, the one who will break the prophecy, the one whose smile can shatter fate. Already, Susie breaks the boundaries of what can be done within the world of Deltarune. Ralsei knows that in the format of a typical party-based RPG, only one character should be able to act, as each character should be specialized to suit gameplay purposes. Susie knows that she's a person who does what she wants, and has no idea that she's supposed to fill any kind of archetypal? Susie knows that she's a person who does what she wants, and has no idea that she's supposed to fill any kind of archetypal video game role. So in Chapter 2, she acts, and forces Ralsei to act as well. Now their roles are not merely the warrior and the wizard, but equal to the protagonist, with the ability to interact with the world and shape their own story. Ralsei is hesitant to act, even though it's clear that he could have all along, because he knows that isn't the role he and Susie are supposed to play, but Susie doesn't care. And how brilliant it is that the first action Susie makes him do is to dance, an expression of joy and creativity, without shame. Susie takes one look at Ralsei's entire self-defeating outlook and says, that's bullshit. The idea that Ralsei doesn't deserve to be happy is nonsense. The idea that the time spent with him is meaningless is idiotic. Just because Ralsei considers himself to be unimportant doesn't mean that he doesn't have his own wants and needs to fulfill for his own sake. Susie knows better than anyone that being perceived as lesser doesn't mean you have to give up your own wants until you're worthy of being happy. You can never earn the right to be happy. You just have to chase it for your own sake, and to defy anyone who says it can't be yours. But if Ralsei has given up his own freedom, and if Susie is the key to giving it to him, this leaves him with one unsolved question. What is it that Ralsei is saying to Chris in their private conversations? Ralsei is able to send the player away thanks to his knowledge of the conventions of video game narratives, and in this time talk with Chris about something that we aren't privy to. Is he telling them about the truth of the world? That seems unlikely, given how busy he is trying to prevent both Susie and Chris from learning the entire prophecy in Chapter 4. Is he talking with them about freedom and wrestling Chris out of the player's control? If so, then he must not believe everything that I've said about him up till now, that freedom is impossible and that he can't affect change. So what? Honestly, I truly don't know. One of the most exciting parts about Deltarune is the chapter format, and the big time between releases where mysteries build up and compound. So for now, this question is just going to remain unsolved. But it leaves the door open for Ralsei to self-actualize. If he can defeat his inferiority complex, if he can learn to chase his own happiness for his own sake, then he might have a chance at actually changing the fate of his world. After all, the only way to guarantee that a prophecy is unbreakable is to not try to break it. Maybe if he comes to truly understand the difference between kindness for the sake of others and kindness for the sake of kindness, he can save himself.